Record button. Okay, so welcome to our Monday mindset call that we are here each and every Monday, same time, same link every single Monday. I believe I've been doing this now for 4 years, every Monday. I think I've probably missed around 4 over the whole 4 years. So it's a place that I absolutely love. I love being and to really pour into our minds and to have ourselves growing every single time. As you know, Money and Mindset Mentor, I believe that you cannot have the money if you don't have the mindset. And if you have the mindset, you will attract the money and you'll keep the money and you multiply the money. And so on a Monday, we get our minds right, we get ourselves really focused to provide that spiritual and mental clarity for the week ahead. And I think just like having a bath, you need mindset every day. You need mindset every day. You need to fuel yourself, just like brushing your teeth. You need to fuel that on a daily basis to keep your mind right, to keep yourself. And I think this is a very, very powerful one. Wave your book or put a 7 in if you've got through to chapter 6 and chapter 7, which is what we're here. 5, 6, and 7, really. Well, 5 and 6. We'll probably do 7 next week. So 5 and 6, and we'll conclude next week, I think. But let me know if you've done chapter 5 and 6. Chapter 5 is about always doing your best, and chapter 6 is about breaking old habits, old agreements. Chapter 5 and 6 of this incredible book. I want to tell you guys a story, a real quick story as we get into this, because I think it relates somewhat. And, you know, we have true transparency on these calls, and I like to talk from a place of, you know, experience. And I was thinking about these chapters, and I was thinking about myself and when some of the light bulb moments actually hit me. And it was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago where there was one moment. It might have happened actually further afield, like it might be 10 years ago, but the moment hit me again 3 or 4 years ago, because I rekindled with my father about 10 years ago. And one of the things that I was, you know, pondering on and I was thinking about was when I had my son, right? And I had my son, I think he was about 3 or 4, so it might have been 8 years ago. And I was thinking to myself, he needs to know who his grandparents are. I don't know if any of you have ever had that feeling, you know, maybe there's a disconnect between a relative, but because of the children, you want to make sure that those children have that relationship, because I don't believe it's a child's situation or a child's fault or a child's business to get involved in, you know, adult situations. And so I had this thought that came to me. All right, hold on, guys. Yes, guys. And so I'm literally thinking to myself that, you know, I want my children to know who their grandparents are. I rekindle with my father. But before I rekindle with my father, I asked myself this question. And it was a question of, why don't I deal with my father in the first place? And what has this man ever done to me? Why I have ignored him all my life? Why I have literally rebuked this guy from my life? Why I don't have a relationship with? Why the 3 times that he attempted to approach me, I rejected him? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I couldn't figure out a reason. And the only reason I came across was the narrative that my mama told me. The narrative that my mama told me indirectly had made me form an opinion on a man that I did not know. And what that meant was, you know, I'd always, you know, I had labeled the pain that I had and the past mistakes that I'd made. I labeled them as daddy issues. Has anyone ever heard that term before? They got daddy issues, you know. All of the past mistakes, the poor choice of boyfriends, marrying an older guy, this need to please, the people-pleasing situation, desperately wanting to fit in, wanted the affirmation, want someone to tell me that I'm good enough. All of these things that I'd gone through and all the feelings that I had, I pinned it down to daddy issues. And through thinking about it, I was like, it isn't daddy issues. It's mummy issues. I actually had mummy issues because it was my mum that raised me. It was my mum that told me the narrative of who my dad was because I didn't know him for myself. It was the mum that I saw in so much pain because my father had cheated on her. It was that woman that I saw in so much pain that I desperately wanted to help. So I buried the fact that I actually wanted a relationship with this man to the point I started believing it myself, that I didn't want anything to do with him. He's hurt my mom so much. Now I'm compensating and overcompensating to make a woman happy that actually was in charge of my well-being. I took on a role of wanting to make her happy. So now I start to trace things back and I'm like, yo, I got a job at 13. My son is due to be 13 in the next couple of months. And I'm comprehending this and I'm like, At 13 years old, I started to pay rent to help support my mum. I took on this burden of pain and some things rub off. You think they don't, but the things rub off. So the choices of men that I chose was based on what I'd seen from my mom, is based on the pain that I'd seen from her. And, you know, the choices I made, the hustler in me was all to make sure that I could help my mom out. And I don't know if you have any parents like this, but, you know, specifically from the African Caribbean background, a lot of those parents have been through stuff. So they find, I want to use my words properly, but sometimes they find it hard to have emotional connections in their relationships. And so I never heard my mom say, I'm proud of you. I never heard my mom say, I love you. I knew she did. I knew she was, but I never heard those words out her mouth. And so as a young girl, I'm doing everything I can to get the affirmation from the one person I'm not getting it from. And so now the people-pleasing traits coming, because I'm doing the most. I'm like, here, mom, here's some money, thinking that's going to make it. Here, mom, here's some shopping. I've done shopping for the house. Here, mom, here's this. And the more successful I am is the more I'm giving, the more I'm pouring. And I'm waiting for these affirmation words and they're not coming. But then I'll speak to family members, I'll speak to friends, and like, oh my God, your mom's so proud of you. She was telling us she got this job in a bank and she's telling us, but I never heard it. And so now I'm doing the most. Now, what does this mean? It means now, because I'm going to the source, I'm going to the root of where these things were, I now begin to see the traits in my relationships. So now I find it hard at the beginning to tell my children I love them. In fact, I go the extra mile to force it now, to show, listen, I'm going to show you so much love. I don't want you to feel like how I felt. I'm going to make sure that I provide so you don't have to get a job like I did. I'm going to make sure that I push, I make sure I do this. So now I'm doing the reverse for my children because I don't want them to have the same thing that I felt, right? Overcompensating. I tell you this, guys, my son had a Gucci dummy. Why? I mean, I did the most. This boy was in Burberry from head to toe. I mean, I overcompensate. I made him know that money was in abundance. There was no problem. And it drove me to one end. It drove my business mindset. It drove me. But on the other end, I was having bad relationships. So I was always skeptical. Who's going to cheat? And guess what? The self-fulfilling prophecy, I ended up being with someone who was cheating. And who cheated long term, and I still stayed. Why? Because I wanted him. It was almost like a game. I wanted him to stop cheating and say I was good enough. I wanted him to say, look, and And I'm almost like, yo, at least I'm number one. At least he chose me. At least I live with him. Like the crazy ways that your mind works when you've gone through levels of trauma, especially when it's not just one incident, it's a continuous lifestyle of trauma. You begin to adopt and attract those things into your life indirectly and without even realizing it. Your habits, the way that you move, the way that you act, the way you're skeptical around people, the way you, here's the thing. I actually wanted the mean girls to like me. So I was doing the most to fit in with the mean girls. Because in a way, it was like, if I get their approval, their seal of approval, then I know I made it, because it was very toxic. It's toxic relationships, toxic need for affirmation, just toxic paradigms, these habits, old habits of just pain and needing other people to tell me that I'm good enough. And where am I going with this, guys? I'm going with this because it leaks into your business decisions as well. It leaks into your relationships, your partnerships. It leaks into all avenues of your life, to the point where you don't even think you're worthy unless somebody else tells you that you're worthy. So when it comes to investing in yourself, when it comes to putting your best foot forward in your business, when it comes to making decisions about how you're going to move forward, you always need somebody else to back you up. You always need somebody else to tell you it's a good idea. You need that reaffirming, because you're not confident enough in yourself to say, hey, look, boom, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what's best for my household. And this is what's best for me. I'm always going to be asking somebody else for their advice, because I'm not confident enough to make a decision for myself. It leaks into how you dress. It leaks into how you put yourself together. It leaks into the type of people you hang around. Why are you comfortable hanging around people that treat you so bad? Why do you see it as a challenge to get the people that treat you bad to start treating you good? Because that's how you felt with your mom. That's how you felt back then. The persons or people that should be loving you are treating you badly. And instead of you saying that, actually, that was not my fault, actually, that is not a reflection of who I am today, we carry that stuff into our adult life and begin to use that in different areas. That's why some of us can't accept mentorship, because you're not used to someone telling you the truth. You're not used to someone loving you and pouring into you, but giving you direction, because that's not something that you're used to having. And I'm just telling you my truth. I had to shift my paradigm. Last year, guys, not even last year, this year alone, I've spent over £50,000 in my personal development. I don't play with paying for what I pray for. I'm going to pay to be in the right rooms. I'm going to pay to get the right products. I'm going to pay to get the right services. I'm going to pay to make sure my brand is on point. I'm going to pay to put my best foot forward first. But the reason why you can't pay, the reason why you can't invest in yourself, because you don't believe you're worth it. You don't believe that you are worth that level up in which you say that you want. Because deep down, no matter what a mentor says, no matter what your friends say, deep down on the inside, you don't believe it. So how do you get to a place where you become confident? Where when someone questions your integrity, someone comes to you in your business. I used to be that person that when someone used to say to me, Nikki, you have a network marketing business, it's a pyramid. I used to shy away like, oh my God. Now I'm like, do you shop at Amazon? Like, yeah, well, that's a pyramid. It's the same model. You eat McDonald's? That's a pyramid. It's the same model. Now I'm like, listen, the people in network marketing that are my friends, alongside myself, are millionaires. How much are you making? You see the same industry that you're judging? Oh, and by the way, when I first started this network marketing business, they told me to write down a list of 100 names of people that I want to partner with and work with. And your name was at the bottom as the brokest person I know. So excuse me if I don't want to take your business advice, right? But because you're not confident, Because you're not bold enough to challenge these people that come to you. You see, this is where, and I hope I'm pulling it all together now so you guys can understand where the story came from. Because I'm telling you where I'm coming from. I'm telling you I came from a place of low self-esteem, that the one person that would challenge me, I'm shaking. The one person that would challenge, I'm starting to Google and I'm starting to read up to see if what they're saying is true. I'm starting to watch the scam videos like I'm not in the business making the money that I'm making. And I had to flip the switch and say, hold up now. Usually the people that come to me with these type of conversations are probably the brokest people in your life. You have to come to a place where you're so confident that when people step to you, it's not from a place of insecurity. It's like, child, please. It's like, persons, hello. I understand that you don't probably understand the business, and maybe this is not for you, but one thing I will say is, you know, this is my business. And I take personal offense to you even suggesting that my business could be a scam. Can you see the posture? But that comes with confidence. That comes with doing the work. That comes with knowing who you are and knowing that I don't care whether you want to sign up into my business or not. I'm showing you a product. Do you want to buy the product or not? You want to buy it? Great. If you don't, great. But we ain't going to have a disrespectful conversation. Like, I'm taking offense to what you're saying. Like, you know me, and you're almost accusing me of being a part of a scam. Like, you're calling my business a scam? And see, that comes when you deal with your past. That comes when you start to really dig up where that insecurity come from. How old were you when you really started to really depend on other people to affirm you? At what age, at what circumstance, what situation happened in your life that meant that you no longer have a confidence that you were born with? Because the book talks about when you're a child, you have a childlike, and I'm skipping into, you know, the other, I know we're supposed to be on do your best all the time, but I'm skipping into, you know, the path to freedom, which is the breaking the old habits, old agreements section. But it talks about that when you were a child, you were truly free. Like, you weren't worried about nothing. You were truly free. You did certain things. You were laughing, chilling. You had a childlike innocence about you. I remember when I was like, I think I was like 13, 14. I would walk home from the nightclub at 4 o'clock in the morning with no fear. I was a bad girl. No one could trouble me. But because now I'm aware of the dangers, I would never walk home in that lane at 4 o'clock in the morning now. But back then I had no fear. Back then there was nothing. Like, can you remember a time in your life where you had that childlike innocence? That childlike innocence where you literally didn't care what anybody thought. You literally were dreaming bigger. You were like, yo, by the age of this, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to set up my business. I'm going to run this. I'm going to be this. At that age where you had so much hope and dreams for your future that you didn't allow anyone to talk to you. You didn't allow no one to distract you because you were confident. And some of us have lost that because of life experience, because of what's happened in, you know, in circumstances, or, you know, the relationship breakdowns that we've had, or parents, or all different situations that come to twist the mind to tell us that we're not good enough. How many of you have ever had a potential customer disrespect your business? Put a 7 in the chat. If you've ever had a disrespectful customer or a person that you know disrespect your business, right? And there's one of two ways you can handle it. You can handle it in a way where you shrink, or you can handle it in a way where you empower yourself. Listen, the first time I did that, I walked away like, you know how you want to put on the music, I feel good. Oh yeah, they looked at me like, yo. Like, when you empower yourself, when you make a decision that, listen, ain't nothing, no one. This is why I have the saying, adapt, overcome, and win every single time. Like, whether you're a customer of mine or whether you're not a customer of mine, you're definitely going to remember me. You're either going to be a customer now or you're going to be a customer later on, because the way I'm going to give you clarity, I'm not going to be rude, but I'm going to give you clarity. I'm going to be confident enough. Do you know there's some people that have been watching me for 5 years online that have just bought a product from me online? They said, Nikki, you've been so visible for the last 5 years. I couldn't even avoid you. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't avoid you. You're going to be so consistent that your haters, the enemies, the ones that wanted to sow the seeds to harvest into your mind, they're going to come and buy from you. Do you know the feeling that it is when the people that were against you come and buy from you? Do you understand that it's your consistency, your conviction, your boldness, your confidence? Yo, I like those 3 C's: consistency, conviction, and confidence. If you have a consistency when it comes to promoting your business, showing up online, being visible, you have a conviction about what you're selling, you can be there and you look me dead in the eye, I can tell you my products work. I'm a living testimony that these things work. You have that conviction and you have a confidence in you, your enemy is going to come and buy from you. The people that once criticized your little business. And this is where you got to get bold. You got to get confident. So let's go into the book. The book talks about chapter 5, always do your best. Under any circumstance, always do your best. No more, no less. Keep in mind your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next, right? So for example, when you wake up refreshed and energized in the morning, your best is going to be better than when you're tired at night. And as you build the habit of the 4 agreements that we've gone through, okay, and you guys remember the 4 agreements that we've been through, which is be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, okay? And of course, this one, always do your best. Your best will become better than it used to be. This is the consistency part. But here's what the book warns. It says, when you overdo, you deplete your body and go against yourself. And it will take you longer to accomplish your goal. But if you do less than your best, you subject yourself to frustrations, self-judgment, guilt, and regrets. How many of you know that there's weeks that you haven't promoted your business to the best of your capability? You've not pushed yourself to your capability. You have not done your best. And it makes you feel guilty. You start asking yourself, you start doubting yourself, like, yo, am I cut out for this? Am I able to do this? You know, you get frustrated with it. You start asking if it works. But actually, the fact of the matter is you just didn't do your best that week. You just didn't put yourself forward. And again, for me, you got to rework the paradigms. You got to rework the old habits. Why? You don't love yourself enough to do your best. Because when you love yourself enough, you have a why that's so much more bigger than your excuses. And so you get up every day with a mindset that, yo, I'm going to do something good today. Like, I'm going to make it happen today. It says, when you always do your best, there's one thing you always do. You take action. Doing your best is taking the action because you love it, not because you're expecting a reward. Most people do the exact opposite. They only take action when they expect a reward because they don't enjoy it. And that's the reason why they don't do their best. And it gives an example of being at work, blah, 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 blah. But here's the bit that I love. It says, if you take action because you have to, then there is no way you're going to do your best. Then it is better not to do it. No, you do your best because your best all the time makes you so happy. What does that mean? This is what we were talking about before, self-love. When I do my best, I feel good. Whether I'm not connected to whether someone buys from me or doesn't buy from me. If I make the sale, I make the sale. If I don't make the sale, I don't. In fact, I thrive when people tell me no, because it's a challenge. Like, how can I get my best forward? I love it when people tell me no, because I have such a high posture. I look at them like, girl, you better get it now, because my prices are about to go up. I actually love it. I'm just looking, I'm just like, yo, they don't even know what they miss out on. I look at them like they're so stupid. Like, why are these people not saying yes to me? Do they understand who I am? Do they understand that my prices are due to go up very, very soon? Soon, the people that are in are in. You see these sessions that we be having for free? Soon, those that are in are going to keep having it for free. But soon, that group, you're going to have to pay for that soon. Like, I know what's coming. Because I know that I'm blessed and highly favored. I know that to be a part of my circle, I know that what I have to offer is good. I look at them, I'm like, listen, okay, you said no now. You know how many people have come back to me from 2-3 years ago and I'm ready to get started. I'm like, I'm not there anymore. Like times have changed. we not left there time. I'm not there anymore. So because I have that posture, guys, did it happen overnight? Hell no. I went through seasons of comparison, comparing myself to all sorts. I went through seasons of not feeling good enough. I went through seasons of worrying what I look like online. I went through seasons of feeling like I didn't have, it all together. And this is all whilst having money. I had a suicide attempt whilst making 6 figures. So I can tell you guys that I know what it feels like when you're not doing your best. I know what it feels like when you don't feel your best, when you don't, when you look in the mirror, you don't look your best. I know what it feels like. But here's the thing, I also know what it feels like to rebuild. I know what it feels like to say enough is enough. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do what needs to be done. I know what it feels like when my back's against the wall and I say, I got to feed my kids. So I'm going to get up and I'm going to make it happen. My brother Max is on the call from Australia, and we were having a conversation. And I said to Max, look, Max, you got a good job, you're living with parents, you're saving, you're really focused. As a young man, he's just so focused, head on his thing. And I said, the problem that you have, Max, is that that's the issue. You're at home. You haven't got too much stress. You've got a good job. You've got money coming in. You're able to say, what on earth is going to get Max to really go hard and be up for 8-9 hours where he's just good? Like, it's good. Whereas when my baby father left me on the floor broken in debt with no money, listen, I am going to be on the phone 24/7 because guess what? Good is the enemy of great. And I had this great conversation with Max. I said, Max, you got to find a deeper why, bro, because right now you're living good. You're living chilled. Find a charity that you want to give to. You got to find somebody that when you win, they're going to win. You got to find someone who's dependent on you. Like maybe make a promise to someone and say, listen, when I win, when I win big, or when I start making $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month, I'm going to give you 2. Now, every time you see that person, they're like, have you made it yet? It's going to give you some guilt now when you're like, okay, I'm going to do it for them. You have to find a why that's going to get you doing your best that is outside of you. It's easy when your back's against the wall because you find that grind, because if you don't grind, you don't eat. If you don't grind, you don't have, you can't feed your children, or you can't, but you've got to find a why that is bigger than your excuses. Find a why that's going to drive you to do your best. You don't need to do more than your best. You just need to do your best. And if we're honest, we have seasons where we have not done our best, where we do not do our best. And that's because our why is not strong enough. And so I challenge you guys, as this is in the book, to find your why. Find your why that's going to drive you to get up and do your best. Now, in the next part of the book, which talks about, breaking old agreements. I did the work on this. The breaking old agreements, it says here that we have this notion, this idea in our mind that we have, a victim mentality. You have the judge, the victim, and, this belief system around a judge and a victim. So I'm the victim and they're judging me, or there's a judge and there's a victim. We have this victim mentality. And we're not, and the book says the victim who rule our lives. Victim rules our lives. So we are no longer free because the judge, the victim, and the belief system don't allow us to be who we really are. Once our minds have been programmed with all that garbage, we are no longer happy. And it's time to be free from the role of victim. What's the role of victim? My baby father left me on the floor pregnant. That's why I'm in this situation. My parents, my mom, she never praised me enough. So I made all these poor choices. And I took on the baggage of my mom. And so I had to do all this stuff for my mom. And, the school were racist. And, when I was having a baby, my hip popped out. And the real situation is, guys, is those excuses are valid and those situations are real, but having that victim mentality only keeps you down. And somebody asked me today, they were like, Nikki, what's the real, your need to succeed? Where does it come from? And it says, I never want to go back to the place I was before. Lack and myself are not friends. I don't ever want to feel like I can't go where I want to go. I don't ever want to feel like I can't go to the gas station and fill up my car. I don't ever want to feel like I can't buy food for my son. Those memories I have. I remember calling in sick because I didn't have enough money to put gas in the car. That's never going to happen to me again. You know why? Because I know how to grind. I know how to assess an opportunity when it comes. I know how to create. I know how to trust that my skill sets and the person that I am brings value, because value to the marketplace equals an income stream. I understand that I'm now being called for a greater mission, a greater purpose, and there's no way on earth I'm going to allow myself to get back to that situation. So when you have that conviction in you, you behave different. The book says you take action. I no longer have a victim mentality. I'm not sitting at home listening to Keisha Cole, My Heart Will Go On, Celine Dion. I'm not doing that no more. I did that for a season and it paid me nothing. My old mentor used to say, excuses cannot be deposited into the bank. You can't. And as much as I can empathize, sympathize, empathize, whatever you want, guys, we've got to get to a place where we say, look, it's either fight or fold. Am I going to fold and lie in the victim mentality? Or am I going to decide to fight and start my rebuild? Am I going to begin the rebuild? Am I going to start to build brick by brick and decide that my story starts here? This is my story, and allow your story to start paying you. Allow your story, your pain, to become purpose. That's where you get the real, that's where you start to see and get the empowerment through taking action. Nobody wakes themselves up through sitting in the bed. You have to wait. How many of you have ever had a really productive day and you go to bed with your chest out like, yeah, I feel good today. I had somebody buy a product. I've seen so many, most of you on the call, when you set a product, you message me straight away, screenshots and everything. You're like, guess what, Nikki? I saw something today. And I'm like, but that needs to be every day, guys. You want to have that every day. It's standard. Like, I still get excited when I see like a sale going through, but now I'm used to it. I expect it. In fact, if I don't make a sale, I'm like, what's going on today? Like, I expect a sale every day, because it's a part of who I am now. I expect sales every day. It's part of my posture. It's part of the behaviors. It's the activity that I do every day, which means I expect a sale every day. I expect that money, I am a money magnet. Money is attracted to me, so money's going to come to me. I don't chase the bag, I attract the bag. Because when you're chasing, it means it's running away from you. And that means you're almost begging it. And I don't want to go back to that people-pleasing situation, needing people to affirm me. I'm not begging no one to sign up in my business, buy a product, buy a course, buy a workshop. I ain't begging no one. If you don't see my value, then that's fine. But you're going to see it today, or you're going to see it at some point, because I know exactly where I'm going. And that's the posture that you got to have. There's another thing the book talks about when it goes into this victim mentality, and it says this: if we look at our lives, we will see that most of the time we do things just to please others, just to be accepted by others, rather than living our lives to please ourselves. This is what has happened to our freedom. And the worst part is that most of us are not even aware that we're not free. There is something inside that whispers to us that we are not free, but we do not understand what it is and why we are not free. Guys, I'm going to give you a perfect analogy of this. Now, I remember before I moved home, I was in, my old house, and I had obviously a different office, and I used to use my laptop. Now I've got my beautiful Apple Mac, but I used to have this laptop, right? And the laptop, I used to do Zoom calls. I made 6 figures on that laptop, right? So in my mind, laptop's good. Like, the laptop was serious. It was red cover, red's my favorite color, whatever. And laptop was amazing, right? It was a Dell, okay? And I moved, and I was like, oh, I love the red and pink Apple Mac. So I'm going to treat myself to Apple Mac. So now I'm on an Apple Mac. Guys, the first time I did a Zoom on an Apple Mac, I came off the call and I was like, I compared it to my old videos. I did not realize I was doing Zooms for 2 years prior in the dark. the Zoom was black, guys. I did not realize. Sometimes until you're in the light, you don't even realize you're in the dark. And that's where most people currently sit. They're in the dark and they have no idea they're in the dark. Some people are used to living from paycheck to paycheck and they think that's normal. They believe that when their money comes in on the 1st of the month and it's finished on the 3rd of the month, that's okay, that's normal. They don't realize that actually you can live a better life than that you can be paid every single day, that you can live a life of abundance if you only speak it out of your mouth and be open and accepting and receptive to new opportunities coming your way. A lot of people, they work to pay bills. They go away on holiday once a year, once every 2 years, and they think that's okay. Like, I want you guys to understand there's a lot of people that are in the dark and they have no idea they're in the dark. How many of you right now believe that you may be in the dark in a few areas? And I'm kind of bringing stuff to the surface because I watched a girl on Instagram the other day and she was like, yo, guys, something crazy just happened to me. Like, I'm always like, cussing the kids, telling them to help me with the laundry and help me with the dryer. And where I live, there's no garden. So, not no garden, there's no, it's not a big space. So we normally, there's no garden. So what she does is she washes the clothes and then like spins them and then puts them on, what do you call those rack things? I don't know what they're called, but she puts them on the rack thing to dry so that the clothes can dry. And she said, over the holidays, it got piled up and, I'm it's normally frustrating. Doing the laundry is frustrating because, like I'm having to do this and there's no dryer. And, I finally just said, I'm going to pay this £300 and get a dryer. And Jesus, I had to come on here and testify. I didn't realize I was in the dark. I didn't realize that, my life could have been made so much easier with this dryer. It was £300. I've gone through £300 so many times. I did not realize, like now, something that would have taken me 3 days has taken me 2 hours. Like the things are dried and she was celebrating. So I sent her a DM. I said, congratulations, Queen. But now, and she was like, how many of you have ever thought so small? And I know it's just a dryer, but it's a big deal. It's a big thing. And I'm so grateful that, I came out of the dark. And I said, I DM'd her and I said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're still in the dark because now what you need to dream for is you need to dream for a cleaner. You need to dream for a bigger house. You need to dream for helpers. Like, this is the levels that we're at now. Guys, I ain't done no washing for years. Washing? Me? Wash up in my house. You see, you're only as good as the people you're around. You're only as good as the information you have. Right now, guys, do you know that cleaners are 10 to 15 pounds an hour? It's not that expensive. You're just not exposed. It's the old paradigms, the old habits. Our parents told us that we had to learn to cook, clean, wash, and we had to do this every week, and we have to do all of this. Do you know the wealthy people do not spend their time cleaning? They pay somebody to do it for them so they can focus on spending time with their kids, spending time in their business, and doing what is required. You see, some of you ain't even thought about that yet. Some of you are so busy. You're like, oh, Nikki, I didn't have time to grow my business because I had to do the washing, I had to cook, I had to do all this. Why are you doing all the domestics? Why don't you pay someone? You pay someone £10 an hour, 2 hours to come and do some of the things and free up your time. And all of a sudden now your business is doing 6 figures. Is it worth the £20 an hour? £20 for 2 hours? Hell yes. And so some of us are living in the dark and you don't even know you're in the dark. Why? Because you can only believe for who you're hanging around. If I told you right now, you got to think about hiring a cleaner. You're like, Nikki, I don't have the spare budget. Okay, cool. So when you start selling 6 products a month, and that's 6 products a month gives you 500 a month, out of 500, you're going to get yourself a cleaner for £20 an hour a week. That's 20, 40, 60, 80. That's 80 pounds out of your 500 a month. You're going to free up 2 hours of your time. Someone say, yes, I receive it. Some of you need cleaners. You're spending way too much time cleaning your house, ironing. Have an iron lady, clean up. You're like, well, Nikki, that's a bit bougie. No, it's not. It's 20 pounds. 20 pounds a week. Don't tell me you don't have 20 pounds. You do, but you didn't realize you was in the dark. You don't believe that you're worth that 20 pounds, freed up your time because you think, I ain't paying no one to do something I can do myself. Wrong. I'm going to pay someone to do something that I don't particularly want to do, but I know needs to get done. It's a whole different mindset. The book talks about breaking some of the old mindsets that we were taught. It says the first step towards personal freedom is awareness. You see, some people are still in the dark. They're not even aware of what it is that they need to do. That's why mentorship's important. That's why conversations are important. That's why being in the right circle. Listen, if all your friends are on benefits and you're working, you're going to take this hierarchy like, yeah, I'm doing well, because, it's let me just make sure I'm being politically correct here. But sometimes, right, I would rather be the poorest of the richest than the richest of the poorest. And some of you will get that on your way home. Put me in a room where I'm the brokest in the room. I don't want to be in rooms where I'm the one making the most money, because if that's the case, I'm not going to learn anything. I want to be in a room where I'm the poorest in the room. Make me feel uncomfortable, because I'm going to be around multi-millionaires, billionaires. Put me in that room. Don't put me in a room where I'm the richest, because now, and some of you are comfortable being around circles of people that have the same income or less than you. Why? What are you going to learn from that? What's the benefit? So we got to break some of these old paradigms and be intentional about being around the right people. It says we need to be, It says we need to be aware of what the problem is in order to solve it. Awareness is the first step, because if you're not aware, there's nothing you can change. If you're not aware that your mind is full of wounds and emotional poison, you cannot begin to clean and heal the wounds. You will continue to suffer. Now, as a mentor, I can tell you this is one of the hardest things I've had to do. I'm going to tell you, can I be honest? It's seeing people for who they are. Let me tell you what my anointing is. I'll tell you my gift. And I used to run from it, and then we'll open up for questions, okay? But this is my gift, my God-given gift. I tell you this, I kid you not. God allows me to feel the pain of other people. I can be virtually with you, I can be physically with you, and I can feel your pain to the point I start to cry. Like, I feel it, I get a vision. And what he also does is he prophetically gifts me with where you're due to go. Your prophetic, it's your gift, but in the future. I can see your gift. I can see your next level. I can see that you're about to go in a certain area and excel. That's why when I saw Nordia the first time, it was like an urge for me to say, girl, you're about to blow, like you have it in you. Like, I get it, and God gives it to me. Now, years ago, when I first discovered this gift, I used to run from it because it's scary sometimes, because when you feel someone's pain, when you feel the pain that they've gone through, I can be around someone, they don't need to tell me what they've been through, and I feel it, and I can feel the pain. It's heavy. And I used to say to God, oh, I don't think I like this gift. I don't want to do, this is too much of a heavy burden. This is too much for me to manage. And so I didn't really know how to deal with it. And that's another thing. Having a skill set without the wisdom of strategy could be destruction to your purpose. So you got to know how to handle the skill set that you have and make sure it's in the right environment. But I'm in this, this prophetic gift, and I feel it. And I think, and the biggest thing that I've had to learn as a mentor is that when people are in the dark and they're not willing to be brought to the light, leave them be. There are some of you that I know God has given me the download that you're called for nations and generations, that you are 6-7 figures deep in the future, that you have a big thing to play in this world. But he won't allow me to talk to you because you're not ready to come out of the dark. You're not ready to really submit unto the program, to where it is that God wants you to be. You're hesitant. You're waiting. You don't want to invest in yourself. You don't want to book onto the Rebuild Retreat. You don't want to sacrifice to be there. And so I can see, and when you attempt to subtly help that person, they repel and they reject you because they're not used to that type of love. I've seen it. And as a mentor, I've had to control myself and say, I'm looking for who's looking for me. When they come to me, then I can pour. But if I don't get the permission to pour, I'm not pouring. I've had to have that self-control, because what happens is when you want to pour into people that don't ready to receive it, or you want to bring people into the light that want to stay in the dark, you can then end up hurting yourself. So you have to know when to execute the gift. You have to know who to execute the gift on. You also need to know what the right time is when it comes to, you know, pouring into people and making sure that they get that level of revelation in the same way that you received it. And it's a gift that I've had to learn. I've had to go on a journey to really accept, okay, this is the gift, and this is how I administer it, and this is when I draw a line, because I'm not going to allow the prophetic manifestation of somebody else to come and destroy me. Have you ever wanted to help someone and they come around and hurt you? Right? Have you ever borrowed somebody money and then that money then became a problem and it messed up your relationship? It's like, I wanted to actually help you. In Jamaica, we say, feel sorry for Margadog and then turn around come bite you. Right? And that literally means that you wanted to give to someone, and in the end, they end up biting your hand off. And it's like, well, I wanted to help you and you've come around and hurt me. And that for any mentor or for anyone that pours into people, you have to have a spiritual discernment on when to kick back. When to kick back and say, because remember, hurt people hurt people. And so I've had to learn that I'm looking for who's looking for me. I'm going to work with those that understand that my mentorship is authentic. I'm going to help you rebuild, but I'm not going to waste your time or your money. I'm going to say, listen, this is the mentorship. I'm going to help you move, and I'm going to hold you accountable to getting done what needs to get done, right? So it's very important things that we have to do, but it all starts, ladies and gentlemen, it all starts with doing your best, being confident in yourself enough to change some of the past things that we've been taught, right? I was speaking to a gentleman a couple months ago, absolutely love this guy, incredible. And he's doing so much fabulous work, but he's not being paid for the work that he's doing, spending hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, bro, if you were doing what I was doing, if I could teach you some things, you will be able to. He's like, my goal is to quit my job. My goal is this. And I'm like, but what you're doing now, is that going to make you quit your job? He's like, well, maybe in like 5-10 years. I'm like, 5-10 years? I'm like, bro. And, you know, I'm like, so how much are you earning? What's going on? And he's telling me, and I can see the gift on him, but he doesn't see it on him. And he's not willing to come out the dark, to come into the light. And so God is like, Nikki, hold back. Like, let him learn, let him get to a point where he comes back to you and he says, Nikki, I'm ready. Nikki, I'm ready. And he'll reach out. We have great conversation, but I'm not pushing it now, because I understand that I'm looking for who's looking for me. And when you give value, when you show up on social media, when you're doing whatever it is that you're skilled at doing, the right people will come to you. Yes, you follow up, you have good conversations, but I want you to understand that you got to do the inner work. The reason why your business is not at 6 figures yet, or 7 figures, or 8 figures, is because you need to do the 6-figure work. You got to do the 7-figure work, the 8-figure work. It's the work, the internal work, that's going to get you the external confidence to do the external work, right? So I hope today has been of value. Does anyone have any comments about the book? Anything that you've read, anything that you particularly liked, or any questions you have for me? I said I would open up, raise your Zoom hand, let me know. Also, whilst I'm waiting for you guys to raise your Zoom hand, I can say that part 3 of the Rebuild workshop is available on Eventbrite. I'm looking forward to seeing so many of you down in London. Those of you that are local, this is going to be on sales, the mindset of selling, and also social media. So I'm going to be teaching that at the Rebuild workshop. That's September the 16th at 4 p.m. in London. So if you haven't got your tickets, get your tickets now, because I will be releasing some special guests. And once those special guests gets released, I know that the event is going to get sold out as well. So if you're inside this community, you will have a special code as well, and your code will allow you discount as well. Got my ticket ×3. Amazing. Who's that? Who? That's iPhone. And so that's the Rebuild workshop. Also, as well, we have, I believe it's 1 or 2. There's someone who was confirmed that hasn't fully confirmed. So it's 1 or 2 places left at the Rebuild Retreat, and we're all done. Ladies, I tell you, it's a ladies' retreat. And I'm telling you what I've got planned. I was speaking to one of the people that's joining me, and I'm like, oh my God, I should charge more for this. The retreat is about to be litty committee. Of course, there is a process. If you do want to be a part of the retreat, the applications are in my bio on Instagram. But there is an interview process, a virtual one, of course. And you know, there's a set requirement. So I want to make sure we have the right people come in. And also the curriculum is designed for what it is that, you know, you want to do, and we align. We need to have the right energies, and we have the right things going on. So that's that. So very, very exciting. Of course, we're traveling again next month. We are going to Houston, Texas, for a fabulous convention out there. So if you're attending that, then that will be great to see you out there. I know, Max, you're coming over, right? All the way from Australia. So it'd be good to see you as well. And there's just so much things happening that I'm very excited about, especially for the Rebuild and the brand. I want to just let you guys know this. This community is free for now. If you are inside this community already, by that I mean the Rebuild Telegram group, if you are in there already, you will continue to access these sessions for free. But this session, outside of anyone who's already in, there will be a fee coming, because guess what, guys? I know my value and I know what I'm bringing to the table. So you guys can count yourself. Listen, timing and positioning is everything. So if you know anybody at all that needs to be inside a group that's not in a group, spread the word, because once I lock the doors, it is going to be a paid membership situation. So give yourselves, you know, a virtual round of applause for actually being a part of the community early enough, and obviously working with me in other areas of business to be able to be a part of this fabulous community. I've got some big things coming for the community, and I've got a major announcement happening at the Rebuild event next month. Okay, so Cass, I see you've got free tickets. Excellent. Don't come alone, guys. Make sure you get some tickets. I'm telling my people, get 10 tickets so you can bring some people with you, because the announcement that I have to make is going to blow your mind, and you're going to wish you came to at least listen. This one, if you want to get confident in sales, you want to get confident and have your posture, you want to get yourself into a place where, you know, you could really just sell with confidence, and you can sell face-to-face and social media, you want to be in the vicinity. I wasn't sure what the code was. The code is inside the community. It's with the message. Inside the Discord community, you'll see the code there. And you'll also see the code inside the Rebuild community as well. So the codes are in both communities. You'll be able to see them. And you'll be able to collect your tickets. Okay, I'm excited to see everybody. I know what's coming. I'm like, spread the word, guys. Spread the word. And there will be no virtual. Okay, as you know, that the Rebuild Table Talk event, there's no virtual. It's all in the room, because it gets real deep in there. It gets real hot and steamy. And it was great to see men come out as well, which is fantastic. But the retreat is females only. It's a women's only situation. And so just a reminder, guys, go ahead and tag me in. I am Nikki Sutherland. That's the only page I have on Instagram. And, you know, I'll never DM you for, you know, Bitcoin and all these crazy scammers that are out there now duplicating my account. It's just, I am Nikki Sutherland, no underscores, no extra numbers, no asterisks, no crazy stuff. Just, I am Nikki Sutherland. Okay. It looks like there's no questions. No one's got any questions. No one's got any comments. So with that being said, guys, I'm looking forward to the last chat. Who's enjoyed this book? If you have, do me a favor, go in the community, okay? Go inside the community. Let me know in the chat, first of all. Let me get my content up. Let me know in the chat if you've enjoyed this session by putting some, I don't know, any comments inside this chat box. Let me know that you've enjoyed it here today, that, you know, this session has been worthwhile. You're happy you're in, you know, the community, and you are good there. Excellent. I'm glad that you've enjoyed this session. It's been amazing chopping it up with you guys. I've absolutely loved this book as well. This book, Fantastic. We have had a very, very good run on this book. Next week is the last chapter of the book. And then we go into our next book for the month as well. But guys, thank you so much for your time. It's been really fabulous spending some time with you all. Please tag me in on social media, but also as well, if you're in any of the communities, the Rebuild community, as well as the Discord community, into the section that says takeaways, please type in there what you've taken away. I read every single message, and it just, gives me that confirmation that you guys are learning, you're taking from it. And homework, you thought I'd forgotten. No, homework is posture. I want you to practice posture this week. What is posture? Posture's having bold, confident conversations with your customers. So here's what we're going to do. They're not rude. It's very simple. Your confident conversations are like this: in follow-ups, or when you have questions from customers. Follow-ups or questions. First one is a follow-up. It goes a little bit like this. You ring them, they answer, hey, how's things? You good? Do you have 2 minutes? Amazing. The reason why I'm calling is because I'm just following up about my product X. Are you still buying? And then silence. And then depending on what they say, oh yeah, thank you for the reminder. I'm ready to buy. Perfect. Let me just send you the website. Here's the link. Go ahead and buy. Once you've bought, if you have any questions, boom, I'll do that. Okay. So that's the first example. Let's say you call and they say, oh yeah, I'm not too sure. Here's what we're going to say. This is a confidence conversation. Okay. What is it you're not sure about? Silence. And if you can answer the question or answer that like a clarity, blah, blah. But if they're waffling, it's like, I'm not sure about the price. It seems expensive. So it's like, oh, you can't afford it. Silence, right? It's not expensive. You can't afford it, right? So you want to ask the question, be very bold about your conversation. You're not being rude. It's like, oh, it doesn't sound like it's in your budget. Is it unaffordable to you? Okay, that's the way that you want to term it. Is it unaffordable to you? Does it sound like it's not in your budget? Is that what it is? Right? So you almost want to let them know that you understand that it's not your product, it's them, right? It's them. So you want to have a bold conversation. Maybe it's, oh, I'm not sure if I have the time for the course. I'm not sure if I have the time for this, if it's a course you're selling, whatever. Okay, cool. So I tell you what I do. When you do have the time, you get back to me, because I got quite a few follow-ups to do, and I'm looking at creating a group where I'm going to be working with people in particular. But I obviously, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste mine. That's a real good way of saying don't waste my time. I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste mine, right? And so what you do is when you're ready, you get back to me. And then if I still have availability, then maybe we could do some business in the future, right? Here's another thing. When people say, oh, I'm not sure it works, or I'm not sure it's, I've been looking online and Okay, it sounds like you are a little bit skeptical. It sounds like you're unsure. It sounds like you almost don't believe. And to be honest, my advice to you is don't purchase the product. Because what I find is if you're skeptical, if you have a little bit of disbelief, it's not best to purchase under that sort of thing. So what I'd advise you to do is go away and do your research. And then if you are ready to come back to me, then come back to me, and then we can have a conversation. Can you see the difference in my posture? Can you see how I want you to practice having these bold conversations? Challenge. So go back. Now, here's the thing. What some of you say, well, Nikki, what if they don't pick up the phone? How many of you have people ghost you? Like you've been calling and ain't no one picking up the phone. Here's what you do. A beautiful text message or a voice note. And it goes a little bit like this. Hey, I've attempted to contact you maybe 2 or 3 times with no response. I'm sure you're busy. Of course, it was in regards to purchasing the product that we discussed. However, once you feel available to contact me, you can get back to me, because I've noticed that, you haven't been contacting me. So here's what I'll do. I'll leave it in your court, and you get back to me as and when you want to have a conversation about this, but I won't keep calling you. Boom. Why? Because now you're telling them, listen, I ain't going to keep chasing you. I've contacted you a few times and you haven't contacted me back. So guess what? I'm gonna leave it in your court and you can come back to me as and when you want to discuss this product, but I'm gonna leave you, I'll leave it alone for now. Right? So these are conversations. You can do it as a voice note, you can do it as a text message, so that people understand that the ball is in your court, right? It's not you begging for clients. We got to raise the posture, but you got to follow up. How many of you got some people that you need to follow up? They liked your product. They liked your service. They said they were going to buy it. They said they were thinking about it. Hey, I remember you said you were thinking about it. Have you finished thinking yet? Like, what's going on? Are we doing business or not? Are we going to do this deal or not? Like, have clarity, get clarity and move on. Do not be associated with a yes or no. Okay, cool. It sounds, in fact, you almost want to reverse psychology. It sounds like, I don't think this will be right for you. It sounds like you're very busy. And, you know, the people that I'm going to be working with, you know, really have to dedicate at least an hour a week or an hour a day. And it seems like you're so busy. So here's what you do. Free up some time, go do what you need to do, handle your business. And when you got some more time, come back to me. And if, you know, if I still have any openings, then we can do business. How many of you right there and there know that there's some people that say, no, I do have time. I can make time. I promise I can make. I've had that so many times. And other times people are like, yeah, do you know what? You're right. It's not really for me. Right? So have your posture. This week is a posture week. I want you to raise your posture on your follow-ups and your rejections. You're not the one going to get rejected. You're doing the rejection. It's your business. You control who you work with. You control your business, and you're going to decide who you decide to do business with. So how many of you are going to commit to doing the homework? I want to hear about this next week. I want to see which of you are going to really commit to doing some strong follow-ups. Okay, real good, strong follow-ups where you can make a real, like, you're going to come away, and I want to hear the testimonies. I don't care if they buy or they don't buy, but I want the feeling that you get of empowerment, knowing that you rejected them. You were like, they didn't say no to me. I said no to them. I told them no, right? This is where you take your power back when it comes to business. Like, guys, this is just small little tips. But if you are excited about, you know, learning how to really master your business, you're going to be at the Rebuild event, because I'm going to come with a whole lot of stuff, and it's going to be heavy. And especially if you're at a retreat, you already know I'm going to come full blown out. We're going to go personal. It's going to get deep. It's going to be so deep that I feel like I'm creating some beats up in the streets. So with that being said, we have gone way over time, okay? But I hope you found value, okay? Take your power back. I'm excited for you all. And I'm looking forward to, please don't leave me in the dark, guys. Give me the testimonies. Let me know that you've done it. I want to hear throughout the week. All right, and remember the 48-hour rule. If you don't do it within 48 hours, you're unlikely to do it. So go and get your Rebuild tickets, apply for the retreat if you ain't already applied. And of course, you know, I will see you inside the communities, dropping your screenshots, dropping your posture, testimonies, and hearing all of the sales that you made. I promise you now, that you will indeed see more sales in your business when you raise your confidence level, when you start, having a real good conviction about what you're doing, and you begin to be consistent about it. That's me, guys. That's my time. Love you lots. God bless you. I see you bought your ticket. Big up yourself, Joan. Joan will be in the building. Lovely to see you again at the Rebuild event, Joan. Always a pleasure to have you guys. If you haven't already, I know Max is like, oh, this show was in the UK, but it's all right, Max. I'm gonna see you in Houston. We already know what time it is. Good night, guys. God bless you. Take care. And those of you that are trading, remember, trading sessions this week are Wednesday to Friday. So there's no trading tomorrow, Wednesday to Friday. All right. Take care, guys. God bless you.